Okay. Hello. How are we all? Marvellous. Are we back? Are we mostly back, do you think? Yeah? Yeah? Good. Mostly you look like you're back. Yeah. Can I see your cats? Has anyone got cats to show? That's beer, Mike. That's a fox. That's not. Where? Ah, there's a cat. Finally, yes, cat. Brilliant. That's what we like to see. Marvellous. Okay, right. Because I think I probably ought to get on with the next set. Yes. Yes. Shall I do it? Shall we do it? Are you ready? Yes. Good. Right then. So having done full-on heavy mythology from the earliest times, and we're going for a slightly gentler apocalypse this time.
A soft apocalypse.
Yes, a soft apocalypse. It's kind of it's more the threat of apocalypse. Yeah.
We've been living with that.
Well, yes. We'll talk about it when I'll tell you the story, and then we'll chat about it a little bit. Yeah. So the story is this, and it's not untypical of quite a large number of folk tales. You may even recognise it, or bits of it. As is the way with folk tales. So there was a kingdom and there was a king, and the king sent out messages across the land, and he said, one needs to come to me and meet me neither indoors nor outdoors, and neither dressed nor naked, and they need to come having neither walked nor ridden nor been carried. Yes, and there was very little response, to be honest, for quite some time, until suddenly one day a girl at the far end of the kingdom turned to her dad and said, "Dad, I'm going off to see the king." He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I've worked it out, so I'm going to go." He said, "Oh, okay then." And off she went. She travelled through the lands, and she came to the palace of the king and lay down on the threshold. And the guard said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Never mind that, get the king." He said, "You can't just order us to get the king. We work for him. He'll want to know about this. He really will." Oh, I can't be bothered to argue. Boss, there's some mad woman lying on your threshold. And the king came and said, What is it?" And she's, "I'm not in or out." He said, "Oh," suddenly very interested. She said, "Yeah." And he said, "But you must be either clothed or naked." Oh, and she was wearing a fishing net. So she was neither quite clothed nor entirely. King said, "Oh." "But how did you get here?" She said, I was dragged by two mountain goats." So, "You better come in. Somebody get her a cloak." She put on the cloak and went off, and he said, bring food, bring drink." He said, "Well, what is this all about?" And the king said, "Yes, see, the problem is that there is a ghoul who was taking up residence in the tree in the courtyard, and he talks in his sleep, and he's constantly threatening. He's going to destroy the kingdom and the land and everything, and he's finish us all off. But in his sleep, he's been raving. He said, we can be saved if somebody comes fulfilling the conditions as specified, which you have now done. No pressure. He She said, oh, right, okay, well, I've done those things. What else is there? He said, the ghoul has set a bunch of questions. He said, we won't be able to get rid of him unless we can answer these questions. And he says, how many stars are there in the sky? How far is it to the end of the world? And just managing to get a twofer in again. How far is it to the end of the world? And how high is the sky? And she said, that's easy. There are as many stars in the sky as there are hairs on the ghoul's head. And if he doesn't believe me, he can pluck them out one by one as he counts them. It's exactly the same distance to the end of the earth as it is from there to here. And the sky is the same height as the ghoul can kick himself. If he doesn't believe me, he's welcome to try. The king said, I'm really not sure he's going to accept this. I'll give it a go. And he went out to the courtyard and he delivered the answers to the ghoul, who one by one said, yes, that's very clever. I can't disagree with that. But you still never get rid of me. For I cannot be killed by man or beast. If you are to get rid of me, you must give me a present that is not a present. And I cannot be killed by fire or spears or poison. And he went on to list a whole great number of other things that he couldn't be killed by. And I can't be killed by day or by night. Get out of the way, king. Ugh, I'm going to destroy everything. The king went back and he went to the girl and he said, we've got a bit of a problem because he can't be killed by day, he can't be killed by night, he can't be killed by, hold on, I'll just go through metal and sharp things, pointy sticks, poison, alcohol, he can't be killed by man or beast, must be given a present that is not a present. She said, let me sleep on this one. So she was taken to a nice room and given a fine bed, and she slept for the night and got up, had a good breakfast. Said, right, it's all under control. The king said, what do you mean all under control? And she said, no, I've got it sorted, I've worked everything out. He said, well, go on then. She said, no, it's daytime. Obviously, I can't do it now. Okay. Have you got any more of that there, sweet halver? And so she ate and drank and chatted with the king, played a game of chess. She won. And eventually the sun was just heading for the horizon. She said, right, time to go. He said, what, now? But, pizzas are in the oven. She said, don't worry, we'll be back in time for those. And but it has to be now. And they rushed off. She went out into the courtyard. She prepared one extra thing on the way. She called up to the ghoul. Ghoul, your last minute has come. Now you must prepare yourself for death. The ghoul said, no. I'm not dying just for you. She said, no, your last minutes have come. I said, what are you talking about? I can't be killed by day, by night, by sharp things, by man or beast. I can't be killed by day or by night. And you've got to give me a present. It isn't a present. She said, yeah, well, I've sponsored a panda for you. And if that isn't enough, here, I've got you this. She held up a bird, and the ghoul reached for it, and as she opened her hand, it flew away. Oh, that is a present, it isn't a present. Says the sponsored panda. But you still got to kill me somehow, you can't do it. He said, well, it's easy, because like, I'm not a man or a beast. I am woman. Should we try that one again? I am woman. Words I never thought I'd say on stage. No, yeah, but you haven't got me yet, because it's got to be, you can't be killed by day or by night. He said, yeah, but it's not, is it? The sun's on the horizon, it is dusk. It is neither night nor day. And with that, the ghoul lost his rag completely. No, you can't possibly kill me. Ah! And in his rage, he fell off the branch and literally dropped off the twig. Down he fell, and because he had eaten so much, he was of a vast bulk. And he was not killed by sword or spear or poison or anything else. He was killed by his own great weight, which destroyed him as he hit the ground. And so the apocalypse was pushed off for another day, and all the people were saved. It's one of those things that it kind of opens your eyes to the fact that we are constantly in a state of averted apocalypse. We're every minute of every day there's something. There's a volcano exploding. There's a tsunami happening. There's a meteor going within 30,000 miles of Earth, which is pretty close in kind of galactic terms. And all of these things, we could go the way of the dinosaurs tomorrow, and there's nothing we could do about it. There are apocalypse approaching and receding with every breath that we take, with every moment. We're constantly on the edge of it being the end of the world. And what's more, it's not like we don't know this. I mean, we've just lived through one. And you can say, well, it wasn't all that bad, but it has been the end of the world as we knew it. It's completely changed almost everything. The world we used to live in 2 years ago is gone. It will never be the same again. And these happen again and again, constantly. And it's about to happen to me. I've forgotten what the hell I'm trying to say next. Yeah, because I had a conversation once on Facebook. God help me. And I posted something about nuclear power stations. It was possibly back when the Japanese Fukushima was all the rage. And which is there again, and another one. That was a pretty close thing, yeah. And it still might kill us all because of the fallout of the Pacific Ocean being basically fucked. And I've posted something that was fairly derogatory about nuclear power. And we've had one of those weird moments when you get a pylon with a whole load of people from the nuclear industry coming on and going, oh, it's not all that, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was perfectly safe, really. It's just a bit of radioactive material sitting around in some concrete now. What you're all worried about? Yeah, all right. And it was one of those weird things where I kind of just backed out of what was essentially my own conversation. But 6 or 7 of them had come in. And then they started having a conversation amongst themselves. During which they went from, yeah, it's all perfectly safe. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Utter rubbish. You're all making a big thing out of nothing. To, yeah, but if people knew what happened at such and such, then there was that one at Thingamy-Bob. Oh, blimey, if you think that was bad, this one was really like right on the edge. The whole thing was about to go. It was, and, yeah, if the people knew what had really happened, then they'd be upset. It's kind of like, my first post had been something about not trusting the nuclear industry. And I eventually came back in and said, and you're surprised that we don't trust the nuclear industry? You've just listed 10 or 15 near apocalyptic disasters that we never got to hear about. We never got to hear about. Though they didn't change our world, it wasn't the end of our world as we knew it at that point. But there's all sorts of stuff. There are volcanoes. La Palma is erupting. And if La Palma erupts just that little bit too much, and a big chunk of it falls off, which is possible, that could devastate the whole eastern seaboard of America with a 60-metre tsunami, travelling at some stupid thing like 1,000 miles an hour. It's insane.
They're not all bad, then.
But once you've got that kind of movement going on with the Earth's crust, then the San Andreas Fault is going to go, isn't it? That's not going to survive that kind of... if you push the whole of America, boom, with basically the Atlantic Ocean in one go, then that's the San Andreas Fault going. That's all going to drop off into the sea. California, bye-bye. And once you've done that, then that's that super volcano under Yosemite Park, which is well overdue. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
We had it a few years ago where there was that massive dust cloud from the volcano that stopped all the planes flying.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that was nothing compared to what's going to happen if Yosemite goes. We are permanently in this state that's hovering on the edge of complete destruction of our world. So while you kind of sit there chewing your nails and thinking, why am I watching this? I've got anxiety already. I shall. I will move our stories to a different interpretation of the end of the world. There was a man, and he got up one morning and he thought to himself, do you know, I've lived a while. I'm not that old yet. My youth is past me, but I'm not crumbling and broken. I've still got enough health in me that I could do what I've always wished to do, and I could go to the end of the earth, to the end of the world. And he set off, and he travelled through the lands, travelled along dusty paths, and he made camps as best as he could, and stopped in towns here and there, told stories and sang songs for his food, and on he went. And he travelled so long that his dark hair turned white. Not completely white, but it was starting to go, you know, the odd white hair here and there. And it was on his third pair of shoes. But he did one day come to the end of the world. And he sat down on a rock and gazed out into the cosmos beyond, where other worlds moved in the distance, swimming through space on the backs of turtles. Although this was one of those worlds where the Earths were flat and testudo born, no elephants in this particular iteration of creation. Just the turtles swimming, no elephants. Yeah, well, you know, it takes all sorts. Well, he'd achieved his goal. And he had a celebration and made a camp and hung around for a while. And in that space between achievement and the point where the mind of the pilgrim insists that they again go off in search of something else, he spent quite some time sitting on the rock, gazing out, enjoying the fruits of his search. And as he was doing this one day, he began to feel the weight of the years upon him. He was looking out, all of this, and he had that realization that time and space are the same thing, which is likely to happen to you when you're at the end of the earth, staring out at space and other worlds, whether born on the backs of turtles or not. And looking down, his eye was caught by the nearest moving thing that he could see, which was the tail of the turtle on which his world sat. And an idea came into his head. And he set about a new quest. He gathered the materials and he began making rope. And he worked until he had made the longest single length of rope ever made. And then he gathered wood and he built a support, a framework with a pivot, and he made a pole by joining pieces together. And it was the longest pole ever made. And he attached the longest rope to the end of the longest pole, and he tied a slip knot, a noose, in the end of the rope, the other end of the rope. And he pushed the pole out over his pivot until the noose swung down. And he manoeuvred it until he caught the tail of the turtle. He pushed down on the end of the pole using the forces of leverage, physics, and the noose pulled tight. And then he pushed the pole out further and pushed as hard as he could, pulling on the tail of time to slow the turtle down. And who knows, in a world that is flat and sails through space on the back of a turtle, it could have worked there if it was going to work anywhere. But far, far away, across the land, diametrically opposite, in fact, at the other end of the world, a young girl, desperate to get out in the world, desperate to get away from home, school and so forth, desperate to be grown up, had also been working on a very long piece of rope. This she had attached to quite a lengthy stick, but instead of a noose, at the end of her piece of rope, she hung a carrot And this, she dangled in front of the mouth of the great turtle. And so time continued to pass in its usual fashion, despite the people at the ends of the world.
Bravo!
Yes, it's always the end of the world somewhere, even on a round one. And what was the time when we started this set? 8:45. So you need at least another 4 minutes out of me before we can take a break. Yes, it's not the end of the world. Should we do?
It's done now.
And even if it is the end of the world, it's only as we know it. Yeah, I don't have a 4-minute piece to put in here. I thought maybe one of those might be slightly longer than it was, and we go, if you're willing, if you're okay with it, I move that we have our second break now, and then come back, and I'll tell you the rest of the stories then. So, should we keep it quite short? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Is everybody good with 5 minutes? Yep. So, 5 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll finish off with the end of the world. Yes. It's about time.
It's not been going on too long. I thought they were just like bubbles. I have no idea when they're
Right, am I? Ah, I'm on, yes, good. So I can talk to you. Hello people, how are you?
Seriously, I come in and I'm like, what happened?
I can't, I could hear you. You seem to be very quiet now. They are very quiet. Why are they that quiet? Ah, yes.
They're coming out of the phone because they're not coming out.
I'll turn you up a bit. I'll have to turn them back down again when I start actually performing, I guess. Yes. No, they're all still very quiet.
They've been coming through on the PA system.
Ah,
Oh no.
all right, well, yeah, we're back into that burbling and echoing. I'll take that one down. Is there anywhere we can get to hear them so I can chat? By the time we've got it sorted, it'll be time to get on with the show, won't it?
We'll say hello at the end.
Yes. Maybe that'll be the answer. But generally you're all well, are you? Yes. We can just hear you very quietly. It's yeah. I say we, I. Yeah. As unless you're being very noisy, I'm afraid you've gone quiet. Vic's trying to find you. But I guess the thing to do is to get on with the show and then maybe we'll chat to you later.
By the end, so
Yeah,
you can say
yeah.
hi.
Right. And there's that. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're back.
Hooray! Hooray!
Oh, great. Yes. We've hearing people. For a moment, I thought that was an incursion from the football fans outside. Yes. Right. Marvellous. Good. Yeah, we have returned. Yes. So from the beginning of time through the static nature of time, the ongoing, continuous time, we come to the end of time.
Last orders.
Okay, yeah, last orders. It's not quite that late. And it's worth remembering that whilst all of the floods, the pre-apocalypse and so forth happened in the past, that all of the apocalypse that are prophesied are yet to come. They are prophecies. They haven't happened. They're going to happen. Yeah. And he said, weather permitting. Yeah. And the thing that everybody is always doing is looking out for the signs that the apocalypse is coming. Warning. God knows what they're going to do. I mean, when it happens, there's nothing you can do about it. And this will become very, very apparent during our next story, in fact. That There were warnings, there was knowledge about its eventual arrival. Preparations were made throughout the whole of time. After the gods created all of the 9 worlds, after Odin and his brothers built Asgard up above the world of men, Midgard below, it really wasn't very long before he knew that the end was going to come. And throughout the whole of time, he was preparing for it. Warriors who died in battle were gathered by Valkyries and taken up to Valhalla. And some of them to Sessrumnir, but you don't often hear about that. But, no. And they would feast and fight and die and rise up to feast and fight again. All in preparation for the end of days, all in preparation for Ragnarok. Oh yes. And Odin went and he gathered knowledge and he sold an eye for the knowledge. Got from a drink from the well of Mimir, a drink of wisdom. He worked constantly to find out that little thing that would just give him the advantage. He trained up warriors, brought them to the height of their powers, then betrayed them to death by stabbing in the back by their best friends, all so that they would arrive at Valhalla in peak condition and remain so throughout all of time until the end. And they would be fit and ready for Ragnarok. They knew it was coming. The god Balder had been threatened. When Balder dies, then it is the beginning of the end times. And Loki had found out the way to bring that about. For Frigg, Balder's mother, had had all of creation swear that they would not harm him. Stones, swords, deer, hippopotami, everything swore an oath. Dwarves, elves, men, even giants swore that they would not harm Balder. They'd even tested it out. Chucked a small stone at him, bounced off, he laughed. Chucked a bigger stone at him, that bounced off too. Prodded him with a spear, nothing. They started throwing things at him, became a game. The gods would hurl the most terrible missile. What the fuck was that? Cruise. And, everything just bounced off him, caused him no harm. Until Loki disguised himself as an old crone and went to Frigg. Pretended that he was a stranger. I'm a bit lost. Spare some water. Oh, of course. Come, sit down. Yeah, have a drink. So I passed a hall there. Lots of people throwing things at one man. Doesn't seem entirely fair to me. That's Balder. He's quite safe. Nothing will hurt him. Nothing will hurt him? Oh, that's weird. She let it lie for a bit. Talked of this and that. Came back to it. So you say it's quite safe. Not one thing. Oh yeah, we had the whole of creation swear an oath they will not hurt Balder. The whole of creation. Yeah, everything. Well, there's that little bush that grows on oak trees that's like really soft, and it didn't seem worth it. Bit young. The mistletoe? Didn't ask that. Oh, how peculiar. Nice bit of cloth you've got there. And passed it by as if it was nothing. Oh, thank you, you've given me the time of day. Well, I best be going. The old crone shuffled out of Frigg's Hall and then took back his normal form, made a spear from the mistletoe, sharpened it, hardened it with the fire, brought it back to the gaggle of gods, put it in the hand of Balder's own brother, blind Hod, guided his hand, slew the most beautiful of the gods, killed Balder there and there in front of everyone. They knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. Balder had died, and though they tried again with a new trick to get everything, all of creation, to cry him out of hell, Loki once again became an old giantess hidden in a cave and refused, because that one person did not, hell would not set Balder free. And so the end times have begun. This was in the past. We are on the countdown clock towards Ragnarok. How will we know when it is truly here? It'll be quite tricky, because the first sign is 3 years of constant war. I think we're kind of past that now already. Yeah, we've had that. There will be an axe age, there will be a sword age, there will be a wolf age and a wind age before the world is wrecked. And then, after 3 years of constant war, where father will turn on son, brother will slay brother, cut them down in their own blood. After that will come the Fimbulvetter, cold, cold winter. All will be covered in ice and rime. 3 winters in succession with no summers in between. 3 years of ice. Then the 2 wolves, Skoll and Hati, will finally achieve their lifelong goals. All through creation, they have chased the sun and the moon across the sky, slavering as they do so, filled with hunger. Finally, they will catch and swallow those 2 orbs of light, swallow them down, darkness will fall. The earth will shake, all fetters will burst. And so will be set free the worst of criminals. Fenrir the wolf will once more be free. Gleipnir will fall apart, turn to tatters around him. The rock Gjöll will shatter. He will leave the island of Severstad. Loki, chained after his terrible murder, chained to a rock with a serpent dripping venom into his eyes. His wife, Sigyn, faithfully sitting, holding a bowl to catch the venom, but she has to move every now and again to empty it. And when she does, the venom falls in his eyes and he writhes in agony and the ground trembles. And when Skoll and Hati swallow the sun and the moon, even Loki's fetters will break. He will rise from his rock filled with rage. He will set sail. He will set sail, heading for Idavol and the plain of Vigrid. Another ship will break free of its moorings. Naglfari, made from the trimmings of dead men's nails, built over time, piece and piece. And this is why you should trim the dead person's nails before you put them in the ground. Trim them as short as you can. You want that ship to be small. Still, when it sets sail, when it breaks free from its moorings, the bow, the waist, the stern will be filled with giants. Yeah, you knew we were coming. Fenrir will not be alone. His siblings will come too. Hel and all those who reside there will set sail along with Loki. And his other terrible brother, Jormungand, will let go of the tail that he holds in his mouth, and he will rise up, writhing. He will send the waters of the oceans beating against the earth. Up he will climb onto the earth, and he too will make his way to Vigrid. And coming along behind all of these giants and thieves and monsters, Surt and his sons will step out of Muspel, bringing the sword he has spent all of creation forging, a sword entirely of flame. And they will make their way to the battleground too. The gods, as I say, are not unprepared. When they feel the ground shake and know that the fetters have been loosed, then Heimdall will blow on the Giala horn, summoning all the gods. The Einherjar, the chosen slain, will put on their armour for the last time, take up their shields and their spears and their swords. They will leave Valhalla, that great hall, 800 at a time, passing through all 500 of its doors. The gods will don their armour. Odin will wear a mail shirt and a helm of gold. He will take Gungnir, his spear in his hand, and riding Sleipnir, his eight-legged horse, he will lead the hosts of heaven against the monsters. That plain they will fight on Vigrid is 120 leagues in every direction. The two armies will face each other. And then, with a shout that will shake all of creation, they will charge together. Odin will head straight for Fenrir, cast his spear into that mouth, a mouth held so wide that the bottom jaw will be on the earth and the top jaw presses against the sky. Thor will aim his hammer at Jormungand, Jormungand, that serpent, will be spitting and spewing venom. It will splash here and there. Thousands will die with each drop. The beast will rise up, and Thor will strike at it with his hammer, beating it around the head. Frey will keep Surt in play. It will be a hard battle, all the harder, for he gave away his good sword, the sword that fights by itself, gave it to his servant Skirnir in order to win the hand of the giantess Gerd. He will rue that choice. Heimdall will clash once more with his old enemy Loki. They have fought before, and Heimdall bested the god. This time, things will be different, and each will be the death of the other. Tyr, the one-handed, he will fight with Garm, the hound of hell who has come along for the ride. Garm will swallow him whole. But Tyr will finish Garm from the inside. It is not only Wolf that will eat that day, for Fenrir will swallow Odin. His victory will not last long, for Odin's son, Vidar, wearing the shoe that has been made through all of time from the pairings of the heels of all the shoes made. Always cut your leather a little large for this. You want that shoe to be big. This shoe is vast. He places it upon the lower jaw of Fenrir, and holding it down, he takes hold of the other jaw and rips that wolf apart. While all this is happening, the giants and the Einherjar go at it. This is the moment they have been training for. This is the moment they have been waiting for. Yeah, come on! Yeah, right, let's do it. They fight and they die for the last time. And they take the giants down with them. Thor splits the skull of Jormungand, and that beast dies, writhing in agony, splashing its venom all over. Thor wins the match, but his victory is short as well. He barely stumbles back 9 paces before he falls dead upon the floor. Then Surt wipes Frey out the way. With his sword of flame, he whelms all of the world, all of creation, mountains, trees, earth, hills, halls, all burn, flames everywhere, everywhere, ashes. And then, at last, the earth sinks beneath the waves. Will sink beneath the waves. And that will be the end of the world. As we know it. For the world will rise up again, out of the waters, sprouting with green trees and green grass. New life will grow upon it. Vidar and his brother Vali will survive. And the sons of Thor, Modi and Magni, they too come stumbling the plains of Idavol. They inherit their father's hammer. The sons of Vili and Ve join them. Balder and Hod rise up out of hell and return, as does wise Honir. These build new halls. They find golden chessboards and pieces amongst the grass. They talk of old times. They talk of the old gods. They will talk of their older enemies, of Fenrir and Jormungand. And two people, two humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, will have been hidden in the wood of the world tree Yggdrasil. They too will climb out from amongst the ashes and the charred bark and make their way once more to Midgard and repopulate the earth. And once more, well, before Skoll swallowed Sunna, the sun, she gave birth to a daughter. And this new sun will rise into the sky, and there'll be light in the world, and all will be well.
Hey.
Yay.
Oh,
Great. I love that.
yes. It takes a while to get there. And there is a distinct possibility that the happy ending bit has been tacked on, not part of the original story. But what you have to remember, of course, is that that is all yet to come. That's ahead of us. That hasn't happened yet. That is going to happen. Ragnarok is in the future.
How long? 600 years?
600, less than 600.
That's how I'm going to say how long I'm going to be.
Yes, yeah.
Forever.
How long are you going to be in that bath?
Not
600 years? Not 600 years.
Then people can never say I've been late.
Yes. Never be late for anything.
I realise every time we're going to see you now, we're going to say, are we there yet?
So, that's yet to come, and we know that there is an end of the world yet to come. We do know that in 600 years, not 600 years, that the sun is going to expand, and pretty much in accordance with the Norse tradition, the world will get completely and utterly whelmed in fire. It won't then get washed in water. No, that'll be it. It's just fire from then on.
No more water left.
No water left. No. And yes, 500 million years before it happens. Bick says it's 500 million years. If it happens tomorrow, you know who to blame.
Not quite 600.
Not Scott, yeah. 500 million years, not 500 million years. But we only know these things because we have looked back. We look back and we've looked with telescopes into the far distance of the universe, and we've seen this happen in other solar systems. And suns explode and consume their planets on a daily basis. Every day, it's the end of the world. As they knew it, if there was anybody there, which statistically, sooner or later there is, yeah. There's a constant swirling of dying and becoming, recreating. And it has gone on since, well, we've looked far enough back, we've seen the dawn of time. And I mean literally, they've looked. And there's a point where time begins, They've done the sums. They've worked it out. And I'm fascinated because years ago, they discovered this, the Big Bang. We all know about the Big Bang. Big Bang came from the singularity. And it was, everything was in a tiny little point. And then they've looked at it and they've gone, after a while, the maths don't work. We can't actually get back to the singularity. Which is interesting because I've maintained for quite some time that it was a bigger thing that set it off. And they've now gone, actually the beginning of the universe was probably about, well, not smaller than that. It's literally not small. It's a very interesting phrase, not smaller than the wingspan of a 7-year-old boy. Which is just about the size. If you follow my thinking, you see, everything in the universe, everything is made out of wiggliness. It's all little vibrations. There are no things. There's no actual stuff. This table here, you can't see it on that camera. This table here, all of these tables, anything. It's all made out of little wiggly packets of energy whizzing round. Everything is resonance. It's all vibration. It's just very, very small. Yeah. And everything that came out of the Big Bang from there, that point, everything is resonance and vibration. I have thought about this as a musician. There's a thing you can do, a completely silent instrument, if you just apply some tension to the string. If you just tighten it up, it sings in that moment as tension is applied. It vibrates. And all you need to have a vibration, to create a vibration, is a little bit of tension. So at the beginning of time, you've got nothing. There's nothing there, nothing at all. No being hiding behind the nothing. Nothing, no thing, nothing. But if you've got nothing, then you've got the possibility of something. The possibility, the potential of something. And that gives you 2 points in tension. Nothing, eternally, forever. Something, anything, we don't know what. And the moment you've got 2 points and tension between them, I say, I mean, if you've ever done that thing, you just tighten it, it goes, it's not so much a big bang as it's, could there be something?
It's enough to produce a cow.
And off it goes. All of everything comes out of this all at the same time. All of those possibilities, all those vibrations, all that wiggling stuff, including time. Time begins at that point. And what is time? It has to be, because this is the only thing that has come out of the big. The only thing that comes out of it is wiggly stuff. So time must be something wiggly. And if you're a musician, if you understand sound waves, this note, that, it has a whole load of different wigglynesses. It's a whole load of different frequencies that it's vibrating at. And there's one frequency that is its fundamental frequency, the bottom note, dong. and then you've got all going on top of it. As far as I can work out, time is the fundamental frequency of the universe. Boom. It's a really big wave. And it's got that big peak at the front end of it, the transient. That's your end of your universe. And the reason we can't perceive time and how it's happening is because we're all on that wave. It's like being in the ocean. You can't see the waves really from the surface of the ocean. You just go with them. And time is like that. And all of everything else, all the stuff we can perceive, is all the higher frequencies, all the harmonics. And this is why physicists aren't finding it, because they're looking in the quantum foam for time. They're looking at the tiny, tiny high frequencies. It's like trying to work out what the bass riff is by listening only to the top end of the cymbals. It's not there. It's a big, big thing. And this, again, it counts for dark matter and dark energy, because they're just such big frequencies that we haven't worked out how to measure them yet. We haven't worked out how to even perceive them. And anybody who's worked with PA systems and so forth knows that the bass bins are huge and the high frequency units are really quite small. That's because you need lots of energy for the bigger waves. And all the higher frequencies are much easier. What's this got to do with the end of the world? Every note eventually dies away. And all those frequencies slowly die down, and all the black holes swallow up everything and then blow up and turn to dust. And entropy carries us all closer and closer to a constant state, and the universe spreads out further and further away, and the energy goes out of it and it gets colder and quieter until eventually, far, far away in the distance, we achieve the heat death of the universe, when all that energy is gone and the last of the gong of creation dies away. And then, and only then, it will really be the end of all worlds as we know them. Thank you.
Bravo! So what you're actually saying is for us to survive, we have to ride a large wave of dung.
Yeah, good luck catching up with it, though.
Nice one.
I know how you feel.
Very good.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you very much for coming along. I hope that was okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's really weird. Your voices are all over there and quite echoey.
The end of the world.
Oh, yes, I hope Janny's been throwing my Patreon link into your chat every now and again. I've just recently launched my Patreon, basically begging, give me money so I can keep actually doing this and survive the post-apocalyptic world that we've entered. And you get all sorts of goodies in return, and I'm going to kind of come up with some, I've come up with some other tiers which will get thrown in there, including which will have rewards. You could, for instance, if you were particularly keen and prepared to throw lots of money at me, have a monthly bedtime story just for yourself on a personal, individual Zoom call with a one bedtime story a month. Yes, so but that's not up there yet. There's a few of the more affordable levels are already in, and I will launch the other levels as we go. Yes.
Cat's having a really good clean.
Oh.
Or was.
They do.
Lots of cats.
They are very quiet. If they can come out here, if they do talk, they. Yes, I don't know. I'd go yes. Well, it was the end of the world.
But not as we know it.
Yeah, they don't seem to want to talk to us.
What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Tanglefoot.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, which they have here. I didn't notice that they've got the Guinness West Indies Porter, which is like yummy, but also quite strong. So at some point I should be heading off to head down to the platform, which is where Bad Cat were playing, I think, and it's staying open for a while and doing beer, so I could go and have a proper beer out of a hand pump and go and chill out. Oh, Jill's got a cat for us. A spectre. Ah, yeah. Well, you're muted, Jill. You have to unmute if you want us to hear you. That wasn't it. She's gone.
Unmute.
Ah, there. Oh, there are two Jills. Fascinating.
Right next to each other.
Side by side. You're still muted, Jill. She's saying, yes, I know, I can't do the thing. It's, no, what? I can't hold a cat and unmute at the same time. I assume I'm actually still on. I am. I can hear
You are.
myself, can't I?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
so-
can hear you.
Ah.
We're all looking at you.
Claire McGrath entered the waiting room.
I love it. I love it.
You're a bit late, Claire. She can't hear me. She's in the waiting room.
Found it. It's very nice.
Ah, there you are. Hello, Jill.
Isn't that our new kitten?
Oh,
For those of you that haven't left.
Fancy the kitten.
Hello, little kitty.
hello, Spectre.
Oh,
What are
Oh.
you doing to me?
oh, this baby. Have you? You think it was free?
Oh,
So,
Mike's
Yeah.
got a cat.
Yeah. Turned up just to hear a little version of the end of the world.
Floating in space.
oh,
It's very echoey.